everyone, it's Di here from Di's Den, and here we are in July already. Can you hear that rain out there? Out there it is raining so hard. We haven't had much rain this year, and at long last we are getting some. So I'm happy, except that it's cold and I don't like the cold. Okay, so this week we're going to do this card, which I reckon is actually really very, very pretty. I used retired products. I've used non-Stampin' Up products, only because I love this card, and this is what I had in my stash because a lot of things I had from my mum as well. So this is called a handkerchief card because this piece here on the front looks like a handkerchief, and I used the flower out of the Happiness Abounds bundle, and the fern leaves here are out of Forever Fern, so we will be using those. I'm not going to put gold here. I have actually stamped in white to put here, but this is my card, and I've used some peel off here. I'm going to show you, I've done one, but I'll show you how I did that, so that the peel off actually has got wings on it, proper wings on it, so that can then come up a bit like so. So what do you think? It's beautiful, it's just simple. The inside I'm going to put, I've got some words to put in there, so let me show you what I'm going to be using. Let me pop that out of the way. Okay, so let me bring everything in. So I'm using Melon Mambo ink. I'm using Happiness Abounds for wishing you all the happiness you can imagine, and I've also cut out the flower using the dies. The flower, and oh, that one's come off, and the leaf, so I'm using that for that. I'm using Dear Friend out of this set, which is so old I don't know, called Birthday Blooms. I am using the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder for the front of my card. As you can see on this one, it's been embossed. That's optional. If you don't want to emboss, you don't have to. I am using the Stitch Squares, Circles and Ovals, which are very, very old, and I'm using that smallest one there just for my saying on the front of the card, so I've already done that bit. I'm using the Forever Flourishing dies for my fern bits, and I'm using this particular die here out of that, and these are all, everything here is retired. I'm using this square, which is a 4-inch square, so you don't need to have square die, you can just use, it doesn't have an edge on it obviously, but it will be the same, from Poppy Crafts. I don't know where Mum got those, so I'm using some peel-offs, and you'll need a bit of acetate for your peel-offs, because what you do is you actually peel that off, stick it onto here, then cut around it so it gives it the rigidity so you can move it around. And I'm using these party dots, so that's what they're called. So I'm going to be using these pink ones. Okay, so that's everything I'm going to be using. So let's bring in the card pieces. So I've already cut out my flower and the leaf, and I've cut them out in Melon Mambo. There's my little saying with Dear Friend on it. There is my fern bits, a green one and a silver one this time, and I have a gold butterfly which I've already stuck onto the acetate and cut around it. For the main card itself though, you don't really need a real lot, so whatever you decorate with is up to you. So the main card is 8 1/4 by 5 7/8. Then you're going to need, for the front of the card, a layer that measures 5 5/8 by 3 7/8. Then you're going to need 2 handkerchief pieces, now which is what I've cut out of these, and these both measure 4 inches by 4 inches. That's for the front. For the insert, you're going to need a layer that measures 5 5/8, sorry, by 3 5/8, and then my white layer for stamping on, which measures 5 3/8 by 3 5/8. So that's all of it we got. So let's pop all of these out of the way and bring in our main card, and we're going to score our main card on the long side at 4 1/8 mark with the small ball. Okay, so once we've done that, we can bring in our card and we can then fold and burnish our card. Like so. So we're then going to bring in our piece that we've embossed. This is my embossed piece, as you can see that. It's not very good light in here for this today. So that's going to go on the front of our card like so. So we're just going to glue that down to the front of the card. No, we're not going to glue that down the front of the card. What am I doing? There, let's wipe that off for a minute. We are actually going to bring in our handkerchief piece. Clever me. So we're going to put our handkerchief piece on here like this, and we're going to bring it in so that it doesn't go over this edge here, and it doesn't go over this bottom edge. Now I want it to go more like that, and it doesn't matter if it hangs off the top a little bit. If you're happy with it hanging off the top, I'm going to put that side over here because those sides not showing as much. So I'm going to pop that on like that, and then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to draw a line down this side. So now I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and I'm going to pop this in here along that line that we drew, and I'm going to actually score it. I'm going to score it quite hard, and then we're going to turn it over and we're going to score it again because we really want it to be able to move. Alright, once we've done that, we then can fold it along that line with a really good burnish, and we're going to bring this in. I'm going to turn it up the correct way. I'm going to pop this on here to where we think it's the right place where we had it before, and once we're happy with that, we're going to turn it over and we're going to glue this section here only. Now, because mine's going off the edge a tiny bit at the top, I'm actually going to just trim that tiny bit off there because I don't need that. And we won't need it, you won't notice it because of the other bit's going to go over the top. So now we're going to bring in our other one, and we're going to do exactly the same again. So this time we're going to bring it in and we're going to turn it around until we are happy with how it looks, which is about, I'm going to bring it in this way a bit more, like that. So this is going to be over the top, a tiny bit more over the top as well, but I'm not going to worry about that because that's how I want it to be, just like that. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to draw my line down here again. So this time I'm going to score this again on my card, on my trimmer. Okay, we'll turn that way, we'll turn it over, and we'll score it the other way as well. happy with that, we can bring that in and we can then fold this along that line. And then we can pop this back on the card to see how it's going to go. If we're happy with the way it looks, like that, or do we want it the other way up? Nope, we definitely want it that way up. Alright, so we're going to go that way up. And I'm going to bring it off the top so that that one's like that, and turn it over, and then I'm going to add glue onto this piece here again. I'm not worried about going too close to the edge because that is going to get glued down. So we're going to push that right up against that so that it's right in the corners. And we've got our two front flaps open still. This time we're going to trim that off the top again, like so. And now we can glue that to the front of that card. Now we can glue it there, see? I knew that. I knew that. I just was testing you all. Says me. So now we're going to glue this to the front of our card so that our handkerchiefs are still laying open. They're not glued down. We're going to glue that to the front of the card. Once we've done that, we'll open the card and we can give that a good squish down because we want to make sure that's squished down nice and tightly. Okay, so once we've got the front of our card done, and it seems a bit weird having these bits like this, but the whole idea is because we want to give these some elevation. But before I do that, I'm going to put my insert in because I want to be able to work on the front without any hindrance. So I'm going to stamp my insert with my words, which are, wishing you all the happiness you can imagine. I don't know why I've got bits of fluff everywhere here today. I'm going to glue this down to our other layer. And then we'll glue that to the inside of our card. That way the inside of our card is done. And we just need to work on the outside together. And I pop the pin in my glue. It's warm in this room because I've got the heater on, but it's cold outside. And as I don't need that anymore, let's pop that in there. Right. Okay, so our insert is done. So we're now going to work on our front. We've got all our pieces. All we need is some dimensionals and some glue dots. So we're going to put some dimensionals onto this one here. And I don't need too many because I'm going to put another layer on the other one. So, get off my finger. And then we're going to pop that across, and it's going to sit up then, just up off the card. And then we're going to put some more onto this one. Come off. And close that one over on top. So we've got this lovely elevation, like a hanky just hanging over the edge. So once we're happy with that, we can then decorate. So we're going to pop our little saying down the bottom here. So I'm going to pop that up on some dimensionals as well. So let's pop that up on a couple of dimensionals, and that's out of the way. Then we're going to bring in our flower, and we're going to pop that one up on some dimensionals as well. But before we glue that down, we're going to work out how we're going to pop these on. So, do we want that one just there, and that one there, and our flower just there like so? I think that looks good. So let's move that one out of the way, and let's trim that bit off the bottom. We don't really need that bit. And pop some glue on these leaves. Come on, glue, come out. That's the one thing when the weather's like this, it's weird. Like glue, it plays games. Okay. I can't find my tweezers. Oh, there they are. Happy with that one? Double check that that's where we want it. Yep. So once again I'm going to cut the end off of this, because we don't need that there. Let's pop this up on here. Now that one's got a bit of glue under it. Go under there, you. Come on. Stick, 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 stick. I'm going to put a tiny dimensional under that one, if I can find one. There we go. Only because I don't want that one to sit down the same. So I'm going to pop that one up on a dimensional, just so it sits down there nicely. Okay. Then we're going to pop our flower on the front, over the top of our pieces, and our leaf, like so. Oops, let's get rid of those bits. Alright, so that's the front done, except for our little butterfly. Let's put my pin in my glue. I could have found the silver butterfly, I think. Never mind. I don't know where my things are. So, making sure you put it on the back. Place a couple of glue dots onto the back of your acetate, like so. Pop that away. I can then squish his arms up, or wings I should say, not arms, and place him on my card like so. Making sure it doesn't go off the edges, and that your raised part is showing up. Bring in our lovely pink. Let's move that out of the way. I just think these light pink ones really will go gorgeous with them. And that is our card. Well, hang on, I'm going to put a couple more on this. I think this needs just a couple more. And one small one over here. So So we've still got an odd number, which is a really good idea. It actually balances it better. And that's our card for today. That was called a handkerchief card. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's just so elegant. You could put some Winker Stella over that. I haven't got any on my desk here. But you could put some Winker Stella over your flower just to make it pop. And that's the one in the yellow with the crushed curry. And it's just gorgeous. It really, really does pop. And I think, you know, it's one of those cards that is great for that special person in your life. Okay, so if you've enjoyed today's card, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. I do love to hear from you all, and I might change that to a silver one even so. So just check out the photographs on my YouTube and Facebook group. If you would like the written tutorial for this, just head down below to Di's Den for Stamping, Crafting and Tutorials. That's my Facebook group. There you will find the written tutorial, which goes live exactly the same day. And if you enjoyed that, I'd love you to join our Facebook group. Don't forget to subscribe here so you don't miss any other videos. And if you would like to be my team, I would love that as well. So I will see you all again next week. Bye for now.